Now I'm gonna watch on my Facebook and see if I can see myself.
Oh, you got split screens?
I don't know. Let's see. All right. Hey, yeah, I'm on.
Ah,
We're on.
it works.
Okay,
StreamYard
here we
works.
are. It's working. Okay, let me just text my friend because she told me to let her know.
Yeah.
So we can have at least one viewer.
All right, let's get
Okay.
an audience going.
All right. We are live. Oops. Okay. Okay. So can you see on your end when you're looking at the StreamYard that it says this is an example of a banner? Do you see that, or does it you just see my name?
I'm doing it without my reading glasses.
Okay. Okay, I could just look on Facebook and see this. Yes, but it does say that. It does say this is an example. That's a bummer. Okay. Well, I don't want that. I want the real thing. Okay, anyways, this is our first time, so we're gonna figure out how to use this StreamYard.
Yeah.
So,
It's
happy
exciting.
Saturday, everybody. I don't know if we have any viewers, but we're gonna get going. So, how long have we been talking about doing this, Beto?
Oh, it's been several months now.
I know. I know. Like
Uh,
when I created this on Canva months ago, I was I was super ready, and then like some dramatic things happened and more people started to pass away from COVID, and it just wasn't a good time. Like it kind of, sucked all the energy out of me.
mhm.
So finally, I feel like life is getting back, with
Yeah.
with all the vaccinations. I feel like life is getting somewhat back to normal, and people are feeling, people are feeling better and getting out. So now is perfect timing.
Great. Yeah, I know it was
Yeah,
dark times there in January and February with a lot of people coming down with COVID and even passing away. And it was dark times, but thankfully we're getting to the other side of it.
I know. Thank God. So I started, for everybody who's watching me, any of my friends, I saw Beto's show, is it the Daily Divinity Show?
I call it Sunday Weekly
Oh
Revival.
yeah, Cindy. Yeah, Sunday Weekly Revival, like a revival, like okay. So
Raise the
and
roof. Raise the roof.
like a revival, and I saw it. What, like, how long have I been watching you? Do you know? Do you have an idea of like when people start watching?
I want to say like 6 months, maybe.
Yeah, about 6 months. And I was just, we have a common friend because I have some friends that went to Harvard. And I think like I saw that they liked you, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, he's a Latino, he's educated, and he's talking about divinity, and yet he's talking about politics, and he's talking about, like Chicano activism and our Mexican heritage. And so I liked that it was a fusion. Kind of like,
Definitely.
like the food these days, it's like everything's a fusion. So I was like, wow, this is really cool.
Like a
I want to
smorgasbord.
add this. Yeah. So I started to share your your episodes,
Mhm.
and then you sent me my bands that I'm wearing right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here. So these bands that Beto sent me, they say manifest abundance and manifest immortality. These are like shows in itself, I hear. And manifest justice. 3 episodes right here that we can talk about in the future.
Uh,
So Beto, why don't you just start, just so that we can test out this StreamYard? This is what we're doing. This is a brand new platform for me. I've never tried it, and that's why I can't perfect it yet. There's still things on here that I want to get rid of, and I want to customize it and put a logo on there eventually. But usually you use Facebook Live and you use Instagram Live, and I have too. Never tried out StreamYard, but let's test it out. And why don't you just do your thing, like share about your background? Because I think that's really interesting. I'm really proud of you for going to Harvard, by the way, and having 2 masters.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think our common friends are Jeanette, right? Soriano,
Jeanette.
Felipe, Agriano.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did you guys go to school together?
Yeah, we went to divinity school, and Felipe and I were actually pretty close when we were at divinity school. Him, me, and another Chicano named Chris Tires, who now lives. Chris is from El Paso. You know, I'm from the Bay Area, and Felipe is from where you are in LA. And yeah, so we used to hang out, the 3 of us together. So, but I knew Jeanette and other people. So yeah, it's pretty awesome that we made this connection, and I'm glad that since we connected, some of your friends have become my friends.
Yeah, too. You're stealing all my friends. I'm like, I didn't know he knew her. I didn't know. Whole world.
Well, I got friends in East LA, or Whittier, all of LA, I should say. No, but my family, when they first completed the last leg of the sacred 4-directional migration back to Aztlan, back to the what we now call the Southwest United States, they went through Texas, but then they settled in LA. So my mom actually, her entire public education from, I think it was like 1st or 2nd grade she started, but all the way up through high school, she was there in the LA area. They lived in Compton for a while, and then they ended up buying a home in Azusa. This was back in the 50s and the early 60s, and they lived there for a while. So east of LA.
Oh, east of LA, but not East LA.
No. But they did live in South Central Compton for a while. Yeah,
So
she
did
went
she
to
go to high school here?
Yeah, she's an Azusa High graduate. She's an Aztec.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, her and my aunt. I don't know if you watch my shows. I always give a shout out to my Tia Emalu, my aunt Emalu. She's also an Aztec. Yeah, they're both Azusa High grads. They're Aztecs.
Oh, wow. Oh, they're Aztecs. Okay, like literally.
Yeah, that's their monitor. Yeah, that's their.
Maybe they live like way back. Yeah, and we'll talk about that too. So, wow.
Yeah, that's the meaning there.
The meaning. They're Aztecs. Yeah. So then she moved. Like you grew up on the East Coast.
Yes. So what happened is, so they were there in Azusa. My mom finished high school, and my dad was in the National Guard, and he's from the Bay Area, from San Francisco area, and he ended up going down to LA with the National Guard, or he got a transfer, and so he can hang out with his buddy who's from LA, a gentleman by the name of John Moeller, and so my dad was working there, and he was doing the reserves. It was during the time of the Vietnam War, at the very beginning of the Vietnam War. So he met my mom. She was working at a Mexican restaurant there in Azusa, and they met there and fell in love, and got married, and then ended up, he wanted to go home. He got homesick, I think. So they ended up going back to the Bay Area, and then my grandparents ended up coming up later. So then everybody eventually moved up to the San Francisco.
Your mom's parents went up there?
Yeah. They ended up moving.
They followed your mom?
Yeah, they followed my mom. They left LA, and then my grandfather ended up getting a job at a winery there. He got a nice job in a winery there in San Jose. And then my dad, he was working in San Jose, and then when I was real little, and then when I was started school, he got a job in San Francisco, and then we lived up in that area for most of my education, for most of my childhood.
Awesome. I think I've always thought that growing up in San Francisco would have been awesome.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we were talking about this before the show about how the house music and early the Chicago house and the early rave scene and stuff. It was awesome in San Francisco. We had a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, pretty cold. It's always cold though, right?
It can be cold. Yeah, Mark Twain said the coldest winter he ever spent was a summer in San Francisco.
I don't think I would be able to handle it because I like the warmth, the sunny days in LA. As much as I think San Francisco is beautiful, like I prefer the sun.
Yeah, I was working for a Canadian company. I had a good friend. in the cold part of Canada, up in not far from Ottawa, and came to San Francisco. I took him to it was during the summer, and we went to a night game to watch the Giants, the baseball players, play.
Oh,
And
awesome.
yeah, he shows up with like this, like I'm dressed, this like jeans and I like, you got to go get a beanie, you got to get gloves, you got to get your jacket and a sweater or a hoodie. He's like, no, I'm from Canada. He lasted like 2-3 innings. That he couldn't handle the cold. He's like, oh my God, how cold it was. Yeah, it was like August. Yeah, because once the fog comes in, it just gets bitter cold. Not as cold in New England. I mean, it's really cold out here in Boston where I live now. But
oh my gosh, yes. Then I want to know about why you went to Boston for school, obviously.
Yeah, I came out here for school and I met a Boston girl. I did end up.
It happens all the time, and then you never come back.
Yeah, she's actually
usually sons go and they never come back.
Yeah, she's actually born in Haiti, but she grew up here in Boston, actually in the town that I live in now, Cambridge, which is where Harvard is. And so we got married. We did live back west in Las Vegas for 5 years, but then we ended up back here in Boston. So, but I'm single now.
Yay! Oh, I don't know. I'm mature for that.
Co-parenting very well. We're still friends. We're good friends. Very amicable.
Well, that's good. Yes, I know. I'm single too. I mean, divorced as well.
Single sounds a lot better than divorced.
I'm single. I know. I don't want to say happily divorced. No, I know. I'm happily single. It sounds way better to say happily single. So that's how I saw your show. I had no idea that Felipe went to divinity school. I would not have thought. Yeah, he's so political because he's so like you. He's so political that I do not like think that divinity people are so political. But why don't you tell us how that works?
Yeah, because Felipe, if I'm correct, went from East LA College to UC Berkeley to Harvard Divinity School. I went from Santa Clara University to Harvard Divinity School. The third person I mentioned, Chris Tierres, who's from El Paso, he actually went undergrad at Princeton, was at Harvard Divinity School. So we're all different class from different areas, but we're all there. Yeah. The political piece, I mean, for me and for Chris too, and for Felipe, it was really about Cornel West. All three of us wanted to study with Cornel West, and Chris actually continued, got his PhD. Cornel West was his advisor, but we're all trying to link our spirituality with our politics, and Felipe was apostolic. I was Catholic who became, Pentecostal. Chris remained Catholic, but it's just really difficult because we don't have like the African American church tradition, right, in our culture. So it's really difficult for us to piece together our spirituality with our politics. And Cornel West and Harvard Divinity School gave us a place to do that. I mean, it really gave us to put those pieces together and then to be with each other and just be fellowshipping together and talking about these things. And we all remain friends now. So it was an awesome experience. And I'll be talking about Cornel West tomorrow on my Sunday Weekly Revival show. So.
Incredible. I mean, to be able to study with him.
It was a blessing. It was a true blessing. And I don't know about Chris and Felipe, but I got a scholarship to study there. It paid all my fees and tuition. And then, I worked a couple part-time jobs. I applied, I prayed, scientific prayer.
Your mom's prayers worked.
Scientific prayer. Yeah, no, I got my mom on the phone.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Not me. I owe.
Yeah, so
I owe a lot of money for my education right now.
But your blessings are coming. You got your own business started. That's awesome.
Yeah. But sometimes I think I'm gonna die with my student debt. I don't feel like this. Like, oh my God, I must. Not
if you live to be 800 years old, Michelle. Immortality.
I just, like it's just, I don't think about it. I mean, I make my payments and that's it. It's not like I live for paying off my student debt. And hopefully some of it will get forgiven. Who knows? Maybe that's part of the, right?
Yeah.
It's part of the Biden plan.
We don't know. It's
We'll
around the
see.
corner.
We'll see.
Yeah. I know to help my son out. He's in law school right now, San Francisco, my oldest son. I
Wow.
think he's actually here. My youngest son's up here. I got
Really?
two.
Wow. Isn't that weird? Like my daughter, Sophia, like we're about the same height and she's only 11. And
Wow.
I just feel like, is she growing or am I shrinking? I
Yeah.
can't tell. I feel like I used to be big boned. Like I was always like a big girl. And then suddenly now I'm petite.
It could be COVID. These kids are sleeping so much, they're growing,
Yeah. Like I think that the kids these days are bigger than average.
Yeah.
Like
They
my
sleep.
daughter's got a size 9 foot and mine's an 8. Yeah.
Wow.
And when she went back to school, she was feeling she found out that her friends are also a size 9, the girls in her class. And I'm like, wow, that's different.
Yeah, I really
I
think
think there's something in the food these days.
well,
sure.
my son, like with COVID, he grew like 4.5 inches in less than a year.
Because
And I think
was he sleeping a lot?
eating, sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Sophia
there's
too.
COVID when I was a kid, I'd be like in the NBA right now.
Yeah, Sophia too. It's incredible. So tell me about like how do you I love your shows. How do you prepare? Because this is the first time that I'm like recording a video podcast. And you've been doing it for some time. How do you prepare? Like I see your white sheet back there that you write on. And like how did you choose that and decide like this is what I'm going to do? And when do you write? Oh, there it is. Oh my gosh, sneak preview. How do you decide what you're going to write about and like how do you come up with your titles and then you always like merge things, you create a fusion.
Yeah, absolutely. So I always like to try with all my shows or whenever I talk like now, I like to hopefully give people some takeaways, like little things that they can take away and inject in their lives and hopefully make a difference. So one of the things my mom was well, let me talk a little bit about my family. So
yeah,
I
you have
had a
to.
family that was, my grandfather practiced indigenous Mexican healing rituals. My father was a faith healer, but those two gentlemen never tutored me. My mom was into the law of attraction. She got into it like heavily when I was 10 years old, and she did tutor me. That's why I talk about the law of attraction. I don't talk about indigenous Mexican healing rituals or faith healing because, I didn't get tutored in those things. I have done a couple of faith healing services, but again, it's not what I was tutored in. So law of attraction, I was tutored, by my mom from the age of 10. One of the things she used to do when I was a kid, like before I went to school, sometimes I'd walk, sometimes I'd ride a bike, sometimes she'd give me a ride, but she'd always say this prayer that she would pray to the divine, you can say God, Allah, the universe, whatever you use, but she would say that that Mijo will remember everything he has heard, learned, seen, and read. And she just say this every day.
You'll remember everything?
Yeah, remember everything is heard, learned, seen, and read. So I honestly think that's like coming back now, all these, 3, 4, 5 decades later. Well, not 5, 3, 4 decades later. 2, 3, 4. Trying to do the math. But yes, I think it's coming back now. Where like, just during the week, ideas will come to my head about different episodes.
Yeah.
And then, like an idea will come like, it could be from like the news, like, Cornel West is leaving Harvard. So I knew I wanted to do something on Cornel West, but it could be just like, I remember like Billie Jean King back in 1973, defeated Bobby Riggs in this battle of the sexes. How did I remember that? It just, came back to, even though I was a little kid, it just kind of came back to my memory, because, later on I saw a movie about it.
Yeah.
But then what I'll do is once I got that idea, then I'll put it with something else. Like with Cornel West, I'm doing that 2004 movie Saved with Mandy Moore. And is it Jenna? I can't remember her name, but anyhow, it's like this teen movie that came out in 2004, which is a religious satirical comedy. And so I then, try and get, okay, these two things are different, but they would really make it a neat episode. And then I start making connections between Cornel West and the movie, and between what I talk about, manifesting abundance and immortality, and justice. And so, and then I do a lot of research to make sure I got everything right. And, but it's fun. I enjoy it. But yeah, I really tie it back to that prayer she used to do, what I say 2, 3, 4 decades ago.
Well, that is awesome. Your mom's prayers must be powerful. And I want to know, before I continue to talk about your show, how do you mentor? Because I have an 11-year-old. How do I mentor her in the power, in the power of the prayer, like your mom?
Well, just that. I mean, you can, in the mornings, you can say that prayer over her, on her way to school, before school, when you're eating breakfast, whatnot, that, she will remember everything she's heard, learned, seen, and read. I did an episode not too long ago on the visual artist, Jean-Michel Basquiat, who's, he's passed away way too long, or way too early in he was young. He was really young. He's still in his 20s when he passed away. But, he's from New York. His mom, like my youngest son's mom was from Haiti, his dad was from Haiti. My son's mom's from Haiti. His mom was from Puerto Rico, but, just a kid from Brooklyn. And, but he had the ability to remember everything, and I don't know that his mom prayed that same prayer with him, but he had this amazing ability to recall everything that, he'd seen in museums, and he'd seen in books and magazines and on TV. So when he would paint, he's a master artist. One of his paintings is the most, went for the most money ever at auction for any American artist. He's out, more than Andy Warhol, who I believe is in second place. But anyhow, and they were friends. But when he would paint, he'd have the radio on, he'd have the TV on, he'd have music on, and he'd have like a magazine or a book that he'd be reading. So he's getting inspiration from all these different things, all these different vehicles. And so that's kind of like, I don't operate exactly like that, but I do look, a lot at, current events and what's going on in pop culture, maybe something that I've seen on Netflix, or, something that somebody sent me, a messenger or a text or whatnot. So I'm always looking for inspiration in different places.
And you haven't felt like you're running out of topics?
That's a good question. I'm on 37 now.
I'd be like, oh my God, what's left?
I'm pretty sure I can get to 100.
Okay, good. I can help you. I got some ideas.
Yeah, no, please, you and anybody else who's watching, please, if you have ideas, send them my way. I've gotten some good ideas from folks. Definitely. I'm always looking for inspiration and ideas.
All right. Awesome. Because I was thinking, like I told you before the show, just from watching you for 6 months, I know you're passionate about certain areas. Some areas I know about, like we have things in common, and others I don't know, and I really want to learn from you. So just as an idea, just to share with anybody who may be watching, our friends, let's talk about the fact that, you're a Chicano and I'm a Chicana, and we live in different areas. I'm in LA and you are in San Jose, and yet you speak about Chicano activism as if you're in East LA. So, let's talk about, how does that happen? How do Chicanos spring up, wherever Chicanos are, activism is, can arise and look the same and look similar. Mm-hmm. Right. So I don't know what it's like to be in San Jose, and whether it's anything, similar to being in East LA, but you sound and you speak about it as if like you're here in LA. And that's amazing to me. Right. Yeah, there's like a common thread there.
Yeah. And I think the common thread is this idea that in our culture, that we root or cheer on, or, we're for the underdog, right? Because we are the underdog.
That's right.
We are the underdog, not just in
It's
America,
so true.
right?
Even
Not
in
just,
sports, you know.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, not just in America, we're the underdog, but in Latin America, right? We're
Yeah.
also the underdog because we're the indigenous ones, right? The Mexicans are more indigenous. That's how they look at us, right? Other parts of Latin America. So even within Latin America, we're the underdog. In the U.S., we're the underdog. And so there's just that, to me, the common link. And it's also the common link when you really delve into spirituality. And this is why, I ended up at Harvard Divinity School wanting to study with Cornel West, was that he always talks about the least of these, right? The great teacher, Jesus, would talk about the least of these. Spirituality is really about, helping the least of these, the poor, the oppressed. And that's our culture. That's the whole Chicano thing. To me, that's the common root, the common thread, whether you're in East LA, whether you're in San Francisco Bay Area, whether you're in El Paso or Denver
Oh,
or
I
even
see.
Boston. Yeah.
So we come out wanting to improve in
Yeah,
our
yeah.
lives
And
help each other.
help each other and do something for the oppressed, do something for the least of these. We have that inside of us.
Wow,
And
that's deep.
and
That's
to me,
because that could be a whole episode in itself. And
it
then
is,
does
and I,
that show up in the workforce? Is that why, there's very few Latinos in corporate, CEO positions, or, we're not here to enrich ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, first we're trying to help ourselves, you know what I mean?
mhm.
And like that, it kind of, that makes so much
Yeah,
sense.
it's a values clash, right, between
Yeah.
corporate America and our culture, because we're about helping ourselves, we're about family, right? When you have a family event, it's not 3 people, it's 30, 100, right? The whole neighborhood sometimes.
Yeah.
I know
Oh,
my
wow.
tia, my aunt, when she throws parties, I mean, they're like parking half a mile away. I mean, that's just our culture. And
Wow.
so that's a values clash between, rugged individualism and get what's yours and like stab people in the back to get on top. It's a serious cultures clash or serious values clash.
I'm gonna have to say one of Oprah's favorite lines. I just had an aha moment. I did, because that is so true. Like, I remember being a baby and my parents were into the Chicano power, movement. Like, this was like one of the first things that they made me do was to like make a fist. And I always knew that we were fighting for something.
Yeah.
I really didn't know what it was yet until I got older. But I knew that, like, yeah, we're fighting like for,
Yeah.
opportunities. And so, yeah, we're like brought up trying to improve first, I guess. And then someday, I guess, if, we're not a minority anymore, and we have access to education and access, equity, and in the workplace, I guess, then we would be talking about enriching ourselves, like. But so that is such a great topic. I want to talk about it more in another episode all by itself, because there's like so much there.
That'll be
So
fun.
what?
And I think
Yeah, that'd be fun.
when I think about like, the Mexican culture and the Chicano culture, I think we have an even extra double dose of the rooting for the underdog and being for the least of these, not just because we're in, occupied America, but also because we completed the last leg of the last leg of the 4 directional sacred migration, back to Atlan, back to to our original ancestral land. And I really believe it's that last leg which developed that piece of humility within our culture that really just gives us something extra, just that extra caring heart, to care for the least of these, and to root for the underdog. But again,
Okay, that you're gonna have to draw that out. Like, I want to know all about the whole migration that you're talking about. You know what I mean? Because I'm sure to some of the viewers are like, what are you talking about? Like, even me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I need to like understand that whole, you know, our roots, like where we came from,
Mhm.
and when we were like the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Toltecs, and the whole story of Aztlan and the migration and all that. I need a lesson in that, and maybe we can do that. We can record that when we start recording our episodes.
Yeah,
So
that'll be fun. Absolutely.
yes, and I'm visual. Like I need
Yeah, map.
you to draw it out. Remember, did you ever see that actor and he went on the road talking about Latinos? Um, I went to go see him in San Diego. It was I'll get the name of it. Anyways, he is a Latino actor, and he shared about the history of Latinos and straight from Indians all the way to like now.
Oh,
Again,
you're talking about John
yes,
Leguizamo?
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you go see that?
No, I saw part of it. I think on HBO. Was it
It
HBO
was
or?
good. It was
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
should see it just
Leguizamo.
to
Yeah.
see. I mean, he actually went on the road with that.
Yeah,
You
Leguizamo's
know,
cool.
I was like,
Uh, I
because he
follow him on Twitter too.
because he was explaining what you're explaining, probably different, but similar.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
similar.
yeah,
Absolutely.
very similar.
Yeah.
All right, so anyways, you think we should start recording segments or like
Yeah,
do on a regular?
yeah, absolutely.
I
Yeah,
think
that
so
was
too.
fun. Yeah.
So, and you can see this right here. Wait, this side. I said every Wednesday. So we're gonna start. Okay, let's start like recording maybe like half an hour segments on topics, and then we can, every Wednesday we can promote it during the week and then share it every Wednesday or every other Wednesday, whatever our schedule permits.
Yeah, however it works, be
All right,
awesome.
because I think there's like so many interesting things to talk about because we have a lot in common and there's a lot that's different about us. So, all right, awesome. So, thank you for watching, everybody. We're going to log off now, and we're going to record something to share on Wednesday. Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye. Adios.
All right. Now let me see. Just like here okay, easy enough. End broadcast. Okay. And then I'm gonna see if I could share it on my Facebook. And then you tell me, Beto, what you see on your end. Okay.
Okay.
End broadcast.